Good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups Susquehanna. My name is Kendi Alvarez and I am the lead organizer for our group. Very excited to have you all here. For those of you who are here for the first time, 1 Million Cups is an entrepreneurial ecosystem that is caffeinated by the Kauffman Foundation. And what that means is that we've got a wonderful foundation that helps to support entrepreneurship throughout the U.S. Through different clubs like ours. Locally, we are supported by the Small Business Development Center, the Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce, the Columbia Montour Chamber of Commerce, the Central PA Chamber of Commerce, as well as our technology support comes from Mindset and Mark Burke. Thank you all for coming. Very excited. The program is typically that we have two presenters and they get 6 minutes to present. And then the rest of us have the opportunity then to give them about 20 minutes of feedback on their presentation, answer some of the questions that they might have that they pose in their presentation. It's a wonderful opportunity to kind of engage with entrepreneurs and help guide them through some of the challenges that they're facing. Today we only have one presenter, so we will have them present and then we'll do a special activity afterwards. And so I will be introducing Natalie Fox, who is one of our mentor coaches for 1 Million Cups. And so she's going to come up and introduce our first speaker.
I feel like that was shorter than normal.
I know.
It's today. So I have the great pleasure of introducing Chrissy, our one and only presenter for today. Chrissy is one of those personalities that you just instantly like. She's personable, she's friendly, she's positive, her smile is contagious. And now I'll add to one of the things I admire most about her, and that is that she creates beauty in the lives of the people around her. Not only because of who she is, but because of the work that she does as an interior designer. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Chrissy Scheimreif, did I get it right? Of Highland Design by Chrissy.
Natalie, thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. I wish I could just take you with me everywhere I went for the confidence boost. Yeah. I'm very excited to present to you all today, so thank you all for being here. So, as Natalie mentioned, my name is Chrissy Scheimreif, and I am the founder and CEO of Highland Design by Chrissy. Highland Design by Chrissy is a full-service interior design firm. We are based in Lewisburg and serve the Greater Susquehanna Valley region. My path to becoming an interior designer was not a typical path, and so I'd like to share with you all some of the background that got me to where I am today. So to start, I'm going to go over my education. So I graduated from Bucknell University in 2016 with a double major in political science and sociology and a minor in economics. My goal then was to become a lawyer. However, my senior year, my goal shifted, and rather than apply to law school, I applied to Teach for America. I was accepted into Teach for America Boston, and after graduation, my husband and I moved to Boston. So in Boston, I taught middle school math for 5 years, and I loved every second of it. I loved it so much that I went on to earn a master's degree in education with a concentration in STEM and mathematics. I think my favorite part about being a teacher was just getting to know my students and their families and then watching them grow over the time that I had with them. In 2020, when the pandemic struck, I was pregnant with my second child, and after my maternity leave, I had to make a really difficult decision, and that was to retire from teaching for the time being. And then soon thereafter, my family made another really big decision, and that was to move back home to Lewisburg, where my husband is originally from. So, home in Lewisburg. When we first moved to Lewisburg, I spent the next 2 years as a stay-at-home mom to my two beautiful children. And as my daughter was getting older, we were considering, putting her into preschool. And so that gave me the opportunity to also reevaluate what I was doing in my life. The way I saw it, I had 3 viable options. 1, I could do another year as a stay-at-home mom. Option 2, I could get back into teaching locally, which sounded like a great option to me. And option 3 was that I could follow a career, dream, and passion. And hopefully, based on this presentation, you could tell I went with option number 3. Really happy about that. So after I made that decision, I actually did not jump right into starting Highland Design by Chrissy. I wanted to get some professional experience in the field first. So I went to Indeed.com, like people typically do, and I searched interior design jobs near me, and I actually did not find a single one. But what I did find was that Lowe's was hiring for a kitchen designer. So I applied to that job, and I spent a little over half a year as a kitchen designer at Lowe's. So, oops, wrong one. There we go. So my experience at Lowe's was very important to me. I got to work with real people and design real kitchens, a lot of beautiful kitchens. I got to start from scratch with just drawings and see all these projects all the way through, from ordering the cabinets to being there for the installation. I got to learn 3D AutoCAD technology, which was fantastic, and I still use it in my business today. And I also got to learn a lot of industry standards. So after about 6 months of working at Lowe's, I felt comfortable and confident enough to launch my own business and do this professionally. And thus, Highland Design by Chrissy was born. So here's what I've done so far. I've formed the business as an LLC. I've made contact with lawyers, accountants. I've gotten business insurance, business cards, social media, and my website. So a lot of work on the business. And I even have a few clients right now, which is fantastic. Here are some services that I offer. So the primary packages are full service design packages. So think HGTV, right? You're remodeling a room or perhaps a full home or even starting with a new build. Then I also offer some hourly services. This is primarily for people who are not necessarily ready to jump into a huge project, that maybe just need a little bit of design help. So color consultation, space planning, furniture selection, those things that kind of stump you when you get into a design project. So this is related to my ask for the day. Here's what I've done so far for outreach. I mostly deal with word of mouth. I tell everyone about my business because I'm really excited about it. I also registered for a spot at the Lewisburg Fall Festival on October 7th, so I'll be there. Love to see you guys there. I also am a member of the Lewisburg BNI group, which is a networking group that focuses on building businesses through referrals. And then finally, I've got my website, and I put that there because I've actually gained a couple of clients through my website, which is really exciting for me. So my ask for today. The first is that if you are able to, if you could please like, share, and follow Highland Design on social media, that would be awesome. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And then also, here's my bigger ask for the day. I'm wondering, how can I strengthen the outreach that I have so far and really maximize those efforts? And then additionally, what are some all other ways that I could also reach clients and gain a huge list of clientele? My goal is to have a consistent and full clientele list so that I can continue to design and do what I love for as long as possible. And that's what I have for you all today. Thank you. Yeah, I got my timing right.
Oh, yes. Well, that's why it was so short. We didn't talk about the microphone. So these are the microphones, and when they get passed to you, you want to make sure that you speak into it. Everyone in the room can hear you, but this is so that everyone on Zoom can hear you too. So, yeah. Are you going to start, Josh?
No, I was just modeling this one.
Oh. Be like, we all know I can't throw, so I won't.
Modeled so well, yeah.
Good morning, Chrissy.
Hi, Tricia.
Could you walk us through, for example, if you're working with a client that has new construction home that is a blank slate, what you would do and what that process would entail?
Absolutely. So typically with someone who's doing a new build, they can come to a designer at any stage. I actually have a new build project that I'll be working on in October, and this person came to me early, which is kind of surprising because typically people will start the new build process and then realize just how many decisions there are to be made and how important they are, and then we're kind of starting a process like mid-project. So on my website, you can fill out my contact form, and that will give me all your information, and we'll reach out and have a conversation, and this is pretty much how all jobs start. So we talk on the phone to kind of get to know the project, and then we set up a time for an initial house call. call. If it is a new build, then we'll just meet at a coffee shop and have a conversation about the project. But that is really for information gathering. The initial house call for all of my services is complimentary because it's just time that I take to get to know the client and make sure we're a good fit and that I can actually help them with their project for the services that I offer. So from there, we would outline the project and really go over what they need help with and the different ways that I can assist. And so with something as complex as a new build, there are just thousands of decisions that you have to make for that. And you want to make sure that they're all correct. You think about the placement of your outlets. You think about the hard finishes in every single room and making sure that they all match and blend. I think something that's incredibly important in a new build is making sure that the layout fits your lifestyle and your expectations. I had a client who wanted to float a sofa in the middle of a living room and have end tables on either side with lights. And so something important for that is thinking about putting the lighting in the floor before you lay all the flooring and do everything else. And so that's something that's really easy to do early on, but then can be really costly if you don't think about it first. So the process can take really as long as it takes for the new build, and we'll guide the client through the entire process.
Following up on that, as you were speaking, I was thinking maybe a good opportunity would be to contact realtors to stage homes. I imagine that even dealing with the homeowner's existing furniture, there could be ways to spot it. Have you considered reaching out to realtors as well as to developers to see if perhaps you could do business to business rather than individual clients?
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. And I actually did consider staging, but from a lot of the research I've done on it, it seems to be not as cost efficient as I'm looking for. Just even the manpower needed to transfer materials from a rental or storage unit to the house is kind of tricky. And so what I did do is I developed a two-dimensional staging opportunity for realtors where I can, through the use of my 3D technology, I can render up any space in a home and put in potential options. So if someone was trying to sell a home that had carpet in a kitchen, which is something I think I've encountered. I can completely rebuild that space in 3D to allow potential buyers to see the possibilities. And so that is way more cost efficient, I found, than having to rent furniture and do all of that, where the possibilities are endless with something like that.
I was thinking, because I just recently bought a home, I was surprised how many homes still have the owner's stuff in it.
Yep.
Could it be possible to help the owners rearrange their stuff that they currently have to show it off to its best ability?
Absolutely. And I think that would be related to space planning and just furniture selection, because there's a lot of power in how you arrange your furniture to allow for better pathways. And just there's in every room, there's always just a way that the furniture should be that fits and feels right. And even if it is just to kind of move it around and switch it up, that's a fantastic idea. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, so I'm a client, how do you price out working for a client? How does that really work? Are there stages of payments and things just walk us through kind of that engagement and payment process?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the first house call is always complimentary. And then at the end of that house call, we talk about the scope of their project. And from there, we kind of figure out which service would make the most sense for them. So an example would be, I have a client coming up who is doing somewhat of a kitchen remodel. And so she would essentially what is a color consultation, space planning, and some furniture selection for a little dining room cove. And so because those are 3 hourly options I have, it would make more financial sense for her if we just did a design package, because with the amount of hours it will take me to do all of those things, it would just be more cost efficient to do one lump sum of a package as opposed to billing her hour after hour after hour. And so I think in terms of pricing, it really depends on the project. And so that's why I like to spend that first house call really getting the scope of what the client would like before kind of suggesting which path they should take.
Yeah.
Chrissy, I just wanted to kind of reiterate what's already been said, but as a former builder, back in the day, we used to be able to have our own designers on staff, and things were always great. And today, the changes are that builders can't afford to have a designer in their staff, so they're outsourcing it. So I definitely would reach out to anybody that's building, especially custom home builders, and get them some information so that people know how to reach out with them. If they can do it early on, they can actually put it in the contract and get some design services that could possibly be bundled into the mortgage, so that those in that early stage. So even earlier in the construction process, in that design planning of the blueprints, before they write the contract. So get your information out to some builders, because I think they could definitely use it. I've witnessed many customers struggle through the color selection process, and they could use a lot of help. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I've actually been really wanting to get into the custom home building sector, but haven't really found a person to kind of get into that. Thank you very much. But yeah, one of my services I offer is rendering creation, and I think that would be really helpful for builders. I mean, the last thing you want to hear as a builder from your client is that's not what I expected it to look like. And so I could really put anything into this software to make the final product really clear. Thank you. Yeah.
Here's a comment from Alex here online. If you want to read through it maybe and pick out some nuggets. And Alex, hey Alex, if you want to unmute, you can, and follow up as well.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going? I'm actually just outside at the minute. So yeah, I left a quick thought in the comments there. Hey Chrissy, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, no, great idea. I love interior design. My history nearly 20 years ago was as a kitchen designer back in Ireland, so I always have an understanding and affinity for that. But I was thinking, just as a suggestion, maybe for the future, to kind of marry your expertise in teaching with your interior design expertise while building a personal brand. You could consider maybe adding a coaching or training element or community element to your business, and that could give you reach both outside the region, but also a little bit of extra clout within the region as well by building that personal brand. Had you ever considered something like that?
That's a great idea, and honestly, I haven't so far, just because I want to get as much practice in as many ways as I possibly can. But that's a great idea, because I really do love teaching, and if I have this knowledge and it can be shared with other people, then I would love to take advantage of that.
Yeah, awesome. That's all I had, Mark. Thank you so much. Good luck, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Chrissy, I just have you considered doing businesses or commercial spaces?
I have. When it comes to commercial design, there's a lot of information. So I didn't go to school for interior design, but I think that if you're going to design commercial spaces, you really should go to school for interior design, because when it comes to just building codes and anything regarding safety, there's just a lot to learn in that sector. So with residential design, it's a little bit different, because I'm not really changing structures in people's homes without bringing in an architect or a builder. But with commercial design, it's a little bit more complex. But I can choose paint colors for spaces for commercial, like a restaurant or something.
Yeah, because there's a lot of commercial spaces that need a touch.
Yes.
And we all go into them every day.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, boy, this is awful. And even just furnitures or colors or things, as you say. I mean, that would be one of the things that you could be like, oh, here's my card. You need some work.
Right. I know exactly what you mean, because anytime I walk into a space,
any
you
dentist or doctor's office, maybe.
Oh, yes.
I'm not throwing any names out here. But I think we all know what I'm talking about. It looks like it. And listen, I'm a banker. Banks as well, because I know one of our offices. It looks like a banking museum.
Oh.
It needs help. These they just need help. They just need help. And you and you know which office I'm talking about.
Oh wow. Well, if you do, you should put me in contact with them, because yes, I can help with color selections and making the place a little bit more modern. Because I feel like oftentimes with banks and doctor's office and dentist's office, they feel a bit dated, because they haven't really been remodeled since, I don't know, maybe when they first began. And that makes sense, right? Because in terms of their finances, I mean, there are other bigger important things to focus on. But yes, definitely, I think it's also important to make sure that your clients and your customers feel comfortable, warmed, and welcomed in your space. So thank you. It's a great idea.
Chrissy's coming to my house next week. I'm so excited. Just saying. So, Chrissy, as you've described what you do, and you did it really well, I think each one of us probably has a different picture of what that ideal client might look like.
Yes.
How would you describe your ideal client?
This is always the hardest thing for me, because when I think of just design, like, I have to imagine every single person, even everyone in this room, likely has a space in your house that you're like, I could really like remodel that, like a bathroom or just like a guest room or just anything that you're thinking of you could remodel or do something with. And so I've been working on this because I know the importance of having a specific client in mind. So I guess to be as specific but also kind of general as I can be, I would say my ideal client is somebody who really has a vision, or maybe no, somebody who really wants to remodel a space but just doesn't know how to get started or how to do that process. So I'm thinking of someone who knows that they need to get something redone in their house but are either held back because they don't know how to get started or don't know who to ask for help, and as a result they keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off, because there's just such joy found in like finding that person and them being like, Chrissy, like, I've really been wanting to do this space for so long, I don't know what to do, please help. Because chances are, over time, they've been gathering ideas in their head, like, oh, I would love to see this in this space, or this. And just the joy that I get of finding that and bringing that out and representing that for them in their space is truly magical. I love doing that. Yeah. And then also, soft spot in my heart for families with kids. I love designing kids spaces. I've been working on my kids' room for so long, and the joy that I get out of watching them use this space is just everything to me. So it's always really fun.
So I think you hit on something about the ideal client, and as you started to kind of tease it out, I thought there was something worthwhile pointing out, right? Is there an aspect of like that person, because I got my wife, she would not be your ideal client, because like she doesn't care what the space looks like, right? Yeah. So they have to care, and they have to like, yeah, right? I mean, they literally.
Trash Judy.
I know. She's gonna hear this recording.
Yeah, just this part.
She's gonna totally agree with me, though. Yeah, because you know what we're going through right now.
Do
Right?
not suck me into your blood.
Denny said, by the way. Anyway, but like they have a connection. Like your ideal client maybe has a connection to their space, which is different than somebody who doesn't. So I think your ideal client has to have a connection to the space, or maybe even that they see space as being an extension of them, or you know what I mean? Like I think there's something else there to tease out, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's been so hard for me to kind of figure that out, because I've also encountered people who, like when I was a kitchen designer at Lowe's, I had a client who came in because they lived in a flood zone and their kitchen was just completely destroyed in the flood. And so they did not particularly care about all the like specific finishes and like making all of this perfect, but it was simply a case of necessity where they needed a kitchen. And so we took that opportunity though to like relay out the kitchen and make it a lot more functional. So I think that even if you don't see the necessity behind the beauty of design, there's always that key aspect of functionality. And so that's another like target client that I love to work with. I built a lot of kitchens for elderly people and had to consider a lot, right? Like one of my clients was in a wheelchair, and so we had to make sure that the aisles were not just the minimum of 36, which is technically wheelchair accessible, but a little wider so that she felt comfortable going down those aisles. Her husband could not bend down to get things, and so we made different arrangements for a microwave that was connected to the upper cabinets rather than, in a lower cabinet, which is more common to see. And so I think you brought up a great point, because yes, the design is about the beauty, but the functionality is the base of it all.
Yeah, I was going to say, I even think like that aging in place concept, right,
Yeah.
I think is something that for home builders and all of us who are aging, I don't know, not everybody feel every day, right? I mean, maybe promoting that in a way or telling that in your social and in your stories.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of people don't, again, it's like, I wouldn't even think about that. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to adapt to the receptacle that's too high. I'm going to just live with it. But the reality is it's a pain,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it influences your life. So anyway, I'm just here.
Yeah, which is again another just.
This is why I don't throw it, because like I'm
They're pretty soft.
somebody in the face, and it's not gonna be. Yeah. What? Oh no, I didn't have a comment. We were just. He was. Yeah. Oh.
Awesome work. What a journey too.
Oh,
and
thank you.
that's so great, especially when you got that decision to be like, okay, do I want to go back to teaching? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
So it's neat that you're figuring that out. To strengthen your outreach, I have just a few thoughts of wondering like how far into SEO you are with search engine optimization. So if someone's like, how do I move an outlet from the top to the bottom? That may be a client that'd be like, hey, I can slip in and say, I can help you with this. Or it would be if someone searching for interior decorating in Lewisburg, then your business would pop up in their search. So just as like one external way for a passive means to get someone to find you. And then also doing some buckets of custom home builders or commercial spaces, like making those distinctions of how can I not make such a general outreach where I'm wasting my time because I don't want those clients, to narrowing it down to strengthen your efforts in that.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for saying that, because that's another thing I struggle with. I'm just like, I want all the clients and I want everyone and I want to be in every space and design it all. But I know that I haven't found them yet, but I know that there has to be someone who's not an ideal client for me. But at this point, I'm just kind of casting my net as far as it can possibly go. When it comes to search engine optimization, I only learned about that term, I want to say maybe about a month and a half ago when I was talking to Chris over at Positive Mediums. And so I know I need to reconnect with him because I honestly don't know how to maximize that on my own. When I type in interior design in Lewisburg, I come up first, which is awesome and great. I don't know if that's the case for everyone who looks it up, but at least for me, I don't know how Google works, but that's what happens because I search it all the time because I'm obsessed. But yes, that's a really good point because I know that there's so much power in that, and that is what I don't yet know how to harness. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love all of the ideas that everyone has been saying. I'm looking at your website now, and I see some of the spaces now. Are all these spaces yours that you've designed?
Yes.
Now, do you have any of your kitchen stuff on there? I didn't get that far.
Kitchen stuff, like the technical designs.
The stuff that you designed at the other place.
Yes.
So
I don't have those on my website.
Okay. Are you allowed to put them on your website?
I don't know, but I wanted to, since I felt like I wanted to just like make a divide and just put on the stuff that I've been doing while I've been Highland Designed by Chrissy.
However, it sounds like you have a really lot of nice spaces that you designed while you were there, and that would lend to your credibility if you can say, if the company wouldn't mind, you put in, plus you're going to say, I designed these for Lowe's, so what are they going to say? No to the extra.
That's a good point, yeah.
So, so you reach out to whoever it is. It's just a suggestion. Because when you were saying that, I was like, ooh, what do those kitchens look like? And it would be so cool if somebody else that is designing, especially the new houses, because then they could say, oh my goodness, this girl is look, she designed through Lowe's. What could she do on her own? So she could probably just, the veil comes off and you just do your thing, because you're under the constraints of a company, and you have an umbrella. Of course, you have to use their product. Yeah. Then you could cast your net to wherever. They're saying, oh, I want this stone to be this, and maybe Lowe's doesn't have that.
Yes.
But if you can show them, how many kitchens would you say you designed?
While I was at Lowe's, anywhere between 30 to 40.
Well, see how that pulls your stock way up?
Yeah.
So you'll come up way up high because then you'll be in the listings with Lowe's, because you'll have on there, you'll be able to say.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So when the kitchen and design, Lowe's, Chrissy, hello, that's you.
That's awesome.
That's you, because, I know you might not have been thinking like that, but if you just casting it out, go by what your experience already is. You're a teacher. So that you could actually start, like one of the people said, you could actually start doing a blog, Chrissy's Design. And I would I think it was this gentleman that said about the bank, I know you don't want to do everything, but if you say, I'll do one of the spaces in kind and then see what happens. They don't care whether or not you have a degree in it. They care, is the space inviting? Does it look like it's a mausoleum, or does it look like a place where somebody wants to come and bank and say, oh, this is a cool place? Because most of those places are kind of staid looking. They're kind of way, dinosaurs. Okay, dinosaurs could be in there, but that probably wouldn't be a good design unless you're going to charge. I don't know. But either way, I think that all of the suggestions were wonderful, and I understand about you saying that I wish everyone could be my client, but if somebody's giving you an opportunity like this fellow was, he's casting the hook. He's saying, well, why don't you consider that?
Yeah.
Regardless of your expertise, you have the design thing. You can probably scale it up to be the dimensions of the bank, or whoever office y'all trying to trash, I'm not from here, so I don't know. But whoever's office that is, y'all need her. But so this is what I'm saying. You have enough teaching experience. You know what I mean? It's that you can figure out a scope of work on that little computer thing. I know, right?
I can.
So don't down yourself before you can even say you've tried it. So if you haven't designed a space like that, well, what about just saying, well, you know what? I'll do this one in kind, and then may I list it on my website, and then maybe that can be a thing for you. But if it's not your bag, definitely go to Lowe's.
Okay.
Pull that up. I would have that. Me personally, I would have that number one on my list because that shows who you are in the design world already. Yeah. And if you compare your name with Lowe's, I'm done.
And you know what? A lot of the people that I design kitchens with, like, we became friends. Like, I know a couple of kitchens that I designed, they invited me over after the project was done and
So
like
you can
had
get
dinner.
pictures?
Yes, so I will reach out to them.
Oh my
There's-
goodness.
Yeah.
And you can also get pictures of when it was. Oh, okay. I
Before
know,
and
I know the
after.
little thing. You could also you just said your own stuff. You just finished your own little story. So you could get pictures of before, or if it was a blank, whatever it was, some of the people that are your friends, and you could get pictures with them living in it, even better. Because this is because everybody can have that beautiful, sleek design, but what does it look like when it's lived in?
Yes.
And the kids are sitting there, and she allows you get clearances, the kids, and she allows you to put pictures of this is what it's like when the dog is sitting here.
Yes.
So it's like before, then after the design, and then this is what we're living in, and we love it. And Chrissy's the best. How about some of those people? That means you already have 40 people that can go on your website right now and say, I love my kitchen.
Oh.
See?
Yeah.
And that what that does is that makes you way up in the rankings all over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry.
We have one.
Throw it at.
As I was hearing all these comments, something else also occurred to me to combine your experience as an educator with your design. Have you thought about internet influencing? So having like a YouTube channel where you do like a little design tip. So here's a life hack. Here's a design hack. And you have that on there, and hopefully you'll get followers because you already started it. You have your Instagram, your Pinterest, and your Facebook. But it could just be about just doing a little mini blurb. Being an educator myself, the shorter probably the better in the beginning. But in like maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a minimal barrier to entry with technology. You don't really need that much. You could ask any college student or any of your friends, hey, how do I do that?
Right.
But I could see you having kind of like a channel and doing little hacks and then saying this is Highland Design by Chrissy and more information.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I actually have, and I think it goes back to my ideal client. When I think about my location, I think if I still lived in Massachusetts and like right in the city of Boston, that social media would be incredibly powerful for me because there's such a variety of people in terms of age, wealth, anything. But then I think about the fact that I'm in Lewisburg, in central Pennsylvania, and how do I reach central Pennsylvanians who aren't necessarily like on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, or even like watching videos on YouTube. My sister is 20, so she's a Gen Zer, and she spends the majority of her time on TikTok, not really so much on YouTube or anything else. And so, but she's not my clientele.
Right.
And so I think I still need to do a bit of research on like the people who I am designing for, what forms of social media are they most connected to, and where are they going to see these videos? There's an opportunity too to post videos to Facebook, and then maybe also link them to YouTube and try to get some traffic there. But yeah, I think the biggest point for me was just thinking about where my ideal client will see that social media outreach and focusing my attention there too. Because I'm not the best with social media, and in terms of like time commitment, I feel like it's a lot to edit a video. It is. I've tried it, and it takes me a really long time. And so I think as I'm in the early stages of like building the business, that maybe that will come.
Does your sister like money?
Yes, she does. She likes expensive things, so I have to imagine yes to the money.
So that could be, if she's tech savvy with that, I would say get someone in that generation where they're a native. They're
Yeah.
native of that,
Yeah.
and to edit it and to give you some ideas. And actually, you might hit that generation. They might tell their parents, "Hey, look,
yeah.
you really need to see this girl, this lady." You know.
Yes.
So good luck. I really enjoyed listening and hearing about your business. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, everyone.